Georgia Virtue presents the Let Me Tell You Why You're Wrong podcast.
Thank you for downloading episode 323. This week, is Hunter heading to the clink? Abortion gets a win. The rich get richer. Thank you for your cervix. The Falcons suck at cheating. Army chow somehow gets worse. Time to break out those shovels, boys. And importing terrorist. I'm Dave Roberts. With me is my partner in this endeavor, Representative Emeritus and candidate for County Commissioner, Ken Poland.
I know. I guess when the show drops, the voting will be the next day. So we'll win or lose next week. We'll have to discuss the campaign and the races around the state, because there's quite a few other things that are going on this. I know we've been talking about it for quite a while, but 3rd District's electing a congressman, and then there's a couple of state representatives in tight battles and runoffs, or at least one down off the coast, Representative Stephen Sands. He got in a runoff by, I think it was 20 votes. So,
well, as we record, speaking of Georgia 3, I sat down and did an interview with Mike Dugan. His opponent was invited, not obviously in the same room, but was invited. I sent him a message on Facebook and never heard back, so yeah, he's the only one that's going to get the interview.
It is amazing the money they are spending. And Brian Jack, who is the other candidate that Dave just mentioned, he's the Trump-endorsed candidate in this race. I know last week he had, he brought in all kind of famous Republicans into the district. I mean, it was like every day he had somebody else either in Thomaston or Pike County or Griffin or Noonan. I mean, they were doing tours all over the place. So it was it was a like, star-packed lineup.
Like bringing Elvis in, da-da-da, da-da-da.
Yeah, I mean, he was going around trying to drum up support. I mean, I think the problem with all of us right now is the turnout is so low. It's nobody knows who's going to win these races, because it's like in a low race I'm in, we've had 280 votes so far. So literally 150 votes wins it. And I think it's going to be less than 10% for this congressional race. So even though Brian Jack is the Trump-nominated candidate, everybody sees his signs all over the place. You know, do his people get out, or do his people just assume he's going to win and sit back? It's going to be really interesting to see how much the Trump endorsement has done for him. You know, and he's going against Mike Dugan, who is a retired colonel, state senator. So that I can't wait to see what happens in that race.
Yeah, you know, as a political observer, I'm kind of curious about that myself. It's, and I'm not going to give him an endorsement because I don't live in Georgia 3, but I certainly enjoyed talking to Mike. Of course, you know, him being, you know, retired Army, stuff like that, we have a lot of shared experiences. Now, I don't know Brian Jack. I mean, he could be a perfectly nice gentleman, and I have no idea.
He's a young guy, too. He's nice. I saw him a while back and talked to him for a few minutes at an event. Yeah, I mean, both guys are super nice. Do I have a lot of confidence that either person elected is going to go to D.C. and change this trajectory that our country's on? Probably not, which is unfortunate. But, you know, there'll be somebody we can reach out to and talk to from time to time. That's all you want.
Well, yeah, and I handed him some red meat, you know, asking about Second Amendment stuff and all that. So, but I would be remiss if I didn't ask a Republican about Second Amendment stuff.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it is red meat. It allows a candidate to kind of tee off on it and all that stuff. But I asked him about the Hearing Protection Act, and you know he's not a fan of the NFA either, which is National Firearms Act. And he said, he goes, silencers don't work the way you see them on TV. People watch too much damn TV. I'm like,
they're not that quiet. Is that what
no,
you're
I
telling
mean,
me?
and I own 2 of them.
Yeah, they're a lot different than you see on TV. Unless, I mean, they get kind of quiet, right, if you use subsonic rounds, but it's not like TV.
Well, yeah, but using subs in my 22, I have 22 silencer. In my bolt action, is damn near quiet.
Yep.
the 300 blackout or the 556, because there's so much noise that comes out of the ejection port. Plus, even 300 blackout, if you can get subs, but you can it's quiet enough to hear the impact. But 556, no man, that thing's screaming at 3,000 feet per second.
Yeah, I know.
So yeah, I like to say it makes it hearing safe. So anyway, that will be uploaded onto the show page for anybody that in Georgia 3, or anybody that's just maybe curious about it. It is a giant geographical area that race is running in.
Oh, it's real big. Yeah, it really is.
All right, so we got the news that Hunter was found guilty on all counts, but is it really a win?
It's kind of funny, right? Everybody's saying justice is fair and justice is blind after Hunter's found guilty, after President Trump was found guilty in New York last week. This was, he's found guilty on all 3 federal felony gun charges he faced. This is kind of interesting, though. I was wondering your take on this. A lot of people are saying, if you're a gun Second Amendment guy, a lot of people are saying, should he have been found guilty on this from a Second Amendment perspective? I know this is the law, but I've seen a lot of people kind of phrase this differently. But anyway, he did get found guilty. He could face it at 25 years in prison and a fine up to $750,000. I don't think
which his buddy will pay for.
Yeah, I don't think he goes to jail, and I think his dad.
I don't see any conceivable universe that POTUS doesn't pardon his son.
I think he does it right away. Or at least when he's going out of office.
But he won't be sentenced, I think, until after his trial in California on tax evasion.
Yeah, because that's coming up starting this week. I saw, and they're having a tough time finding a jury pool out there in California for this. I was reading.
I'm sure they friggin' are.
Yeah, but there were some hardcore Second Amendment guys that said, why is this a problem? What he did. Kind of turned it around.
That question didn't used to be on the 4473.
Right.
That came about when Colorado legalized marijuana.
Yep.
So I don't like the 4473 period. Mm-hmm. I think buying a gun should be as easy as going into Home Depot and buying a hammer. I don't. This is the libertarian part of me. I don't think that drug use,
eliminates you from having a gun. Yep.
Yeah, and look, I honestly don't think that having a felony should do it, especially nonviolent felonies.
Right.
So there are a lot of people who have a felon tag that are, again, Hunter, tax evaders, drug users, whatever. So, but it's not that they used a gun. And honestly,
well, look at President Trump, right? He was found guilty of a felony. He can't legally purchase a gun again, right? Not that he needs to, but if he wants to go out there and buy a gun, he's prevented at this point. So I agree with you.
I think Don Jr. is a big gun guy.
Yes, he's probably got plenty.
Yeah, Donald Trump is not a pro Second Amendment guy.
Right.
We'll cover that in a minute. Yeah, but he is not a Second Amendment guy. I read his book, The Way Things Ought to Be, I think is what it is. Or was it Art of the Deal, where he talks about every gun purchase should have a 5-day waiting period or something. Yeah, that's not Second Amendment. That's not pro Second Amendment.
Yeah, tell that to a mom that's trying to go out and buy a gun to defend herself from an abuser. Yeah, from an abuser, right.
And my work with the women's shelter out here is first of all, any woman I would advise to learn how to shoot and arm yourself. You think about a single woman who maybe a single mom, like you said, something like that, it's not even necessarily their abuser, but they need to have a way of defending themselves because they're not big enough, strong enough to, I was going to say mean enough, but no, most women I know are mean enough to fight off an attacker. Yep. That's just the way it is. It goes back to the 1800s with God created all men Sam Colt made him even.
Yep.
So what's the big win with the abortion stuff and from SCOTUS? I think it dropped the 14th.
Sometime last Thursday. Yeah, SCOTUS. And SCOTUS has got a lot. If you're not paying attention to what Supreme Court's doing right now, they've got a lot of really big decisions that are still coming up. Probably the biggest one, and we've talked about it before, is this Chevron case that's coming up, which should be dropping in a couple weeks, maybe by the end of June. So we'll have to definitely pay attention to that. But this was a case brought by a group of anti-abortion doctors who questioned the FDA's decisions, making it easier to access basically the abortion pill. And it's not that SCOTUS gave abortionists a win. They said these three doctors did not have standing in the court. So they basically said, guys, you don't have standing. We're not going to really even consider this case.
How does it get to SCOTUS before finding out you don't have standing?
I know. I don't know how it went that far.
The amount of money that goes into getting a case before the Supreme Court.
Oh, can you imagine? Yeah.
I mean, I understand they're doctors, and I'm sure they do fairly well. But how in the hell does it get all the way up there before to say you don't have standing when that could have been handled at a lower court?
Yep. I know. And Justice Brett Kavanaugh, he wrote for the court that while the plaintiffs, and this was a quote, have sincere legal, moral, ideological, and policy objections to elective abortion and to the FDA's relaxed regulation of mifepristone, I guess, he said that does not mean they have a federal case. So basically, none of the abortionists like what he just said, but he also said it doesn't mean they have a case that they can bring before the Supreme Court. So anyway, President Biden came out, issued a statement, and said that while the ruling means the pill can remain easily accessible, the fight for reproductive freedom continues. That's how they phrased the abortion versus the pro-life stance. It's the fight for reproductive freedom.
I don't understand that term.
I don't either.
I mean, it's just that term bothers me. Reproductive freedom. Well, outside of cases of rape, something like that, your reproductive freedom is contraception. Is and look, yes, sometimes the good year breaks.
All right,
it happens, but we already have the morning after pill. You have the pill you can take prophylactically beforehand. Monthly birth control pills, and that was reproductive freedom. What it really was sexual freedom. I don't know. I think that's a very carefully crafted phrase. Because who doesn't stand for freedom, right?
Right, exactly.
So when you put freedom after something, you're like, oh, your initial thing is, well, hell yeah, and then you find out their idea of reproductive freedom is abortion at 9 months. Like,
I mean, this is the same administration too that made people get the vaccine during COVID and to keep their jobs and to work for the federal government, right? So they don't necessarily care about your body rights or your freedom to put in your body what you want. But then when it comes to this, it's like we've got to make sure they have reproductive freedom. They're playing both sides here.
Well, I agree with that, and there were a lot of guys that ETS'd or got out of the military. I was going to say Army,
right, which is amazing because the guys in the Army are they're in the best shape in the world, right? The chance of anybody in the Army and the kind of shape you guys are in of dying from COVID was almost zero.
Oh, same thing with the NFL. I mean,
and children. They school children, right?
Well, they wore Aaron Rodgers out.
I know they did.
And when you play at that level, you are aware of everything that goes in your body. That's why Tom Brady could play as long as he did. Yep. Is he took fantastic care of his body. That's why he could play quarterback at 42 years old or whatever he was. I could tell you at my age, at 47, I sure as hell don't want a linebacker hitting me.
Yeah.
but he took fantastic care of his body. So he was well aware, and Rogers had some sort of problem with getting vaccines. So,
yep.
All right, so the rich get richer. Elon gets paid.
God, he got paid again, right? This is so there was a fight over Elon's pay package, and last Thursday, they approved Elon Musk's pay package at Tesla. It was basically $46 billion pay deal. He'd already made, I think the last pay package he had was $56 million. And after the shareholders voted to give him this raise, he said, quote, "Hot damn, I love you guys," is what he told after the vote was announced. Yeah, that dude's crazy. I love Elon to death. I mean, he's just always pushing the limits on everything. But it's funny. He got his $46 billion and was like, thank you.
That is FU money.
That is. I mean, the guy's so rich.
I mean, yeah, that's FU money. Aside from murdering somebody in Times Square,
yep,
he's bulletproof. He can afford whatever. You can charge him with something. He can afford the lawyers.
Yep.
Of course, you would say that about Trump, too, and it didn't work out so well for him. But, Elon is an interesting character. This is a guy that went on Rogan and smoked a giant blunt.
I know.
And when I say giant, I think it was bigger than the cigars I smoke.
Right, right.
And that's a lot of weed. I'm not a weed guy, but I certainly saw enough of it in high school to know that ain't a normal sized joint.
Yeah.
The equivalent would be grabbing a bottle of bourbon and chugging the whole thing at once.
Oh, I know.
Especially today's weed.
But can you imagine $46 billion? Think of the taxes this guy's paying on $46 billion. Wow.
Well, he did move to Texas.
Yeah, he did. And part of this condition, part of this vote was to move to Texas. So, yeah, he's getting out of the crazy liberal states and moving down to Texas. Hopefully, he doesn't bring all the liberals with him to Texas like a lot of people are doing. But we'll see.
I was talking to a friend of mine today, and she moved from Nevada, and she talks about all the West Coast people that are moving to Georgia. She's an attorney, mm-hmm. And she's talking about she runs into them at the grocery store. They'll hear her accent or whatever, and they find out they've got a lot of people moving from Nevada, a lot of people moving from California, a lot of West Coast people are moving in. As much as I applaud them for escaping like the People's Republic of California, like leave your liberal policies there. You understand that's what caused it, right?
I know, it's crazy.
But good for Elon. I mean, I don't throw shade on anybody for their success.
No, good for him. If he can get $46 billion and the shareholders approve it and they think he's doing a good job, then hey, take your $46 billion.
He should take that $46 billion and refund everybody that bought a damn Cybertruck. That thing
Do you
is
like how that thing looks?
ugly.
I saw one going down I-75 last week when I had to take my daughter to Valdosta for the week. Good grief, it is ugly.
It's ugly as homemade sin.
I wonder what the inside looks like.
I don't know. I know it's bulletproof. At least the metal on it is. And
yeah,
I saw him on Rogan, shoot it with a bow, and then shoot it with I can't remember what they used. I think it was a pistol caliber.
Yep.
But very cool, that feature of it. But that thing is ugly.
Yep.
Oh, I mean, what did I hear somebody say? It looks like a kid's rendition of what a truck should look like.
Right.
All right. So cancer charity apologizes for saying cervix.
Oh my goodness. This was the craziest story. And I mentioned this to my wife. My wife and daughter had also heard of this story. So all my wife and her friends were talking about it. My daughter knew about it. So the Canadian Cancer Society is apologizing for using the term cervix on a webpage for transgender and non-binary people assigned female at birth. Tell our listeners what they are calling the cervix now.
Front hole.
Yes.
Let me tell you something. That is my new favorite phrase. Because I'm going to start calling my friends front holes.
So they said a charity acknowledged in a section titled "Words Matter" that some members of the community may prefer to use other terms such as front hole instead of cervix. This may be the wackiest thing I've ever seen.
So, have you ever? And I've known a lot of women in my time. I've got a lot of female friends. I don't think any of them would be pleased with front hole.
I don't either. And this was explained. I mean, this is like a cancer society. So this is like they were trying to say that if you have a cervix and you have certain conditions, then you need to go in for cervical cancer screenings. But they said this word cervix is offensive to certain people, so I guess you need to go in now for front hole cancer screenings.
Oh, good God!
Well,
all right,
I'm telling you, people in the future are going to look back and say, "What the hell were those people doing in that year?"
All right, so if you're over 40, or actually over 50, I think now is what they say, transgender female, it's time to get your prostate checked. We don't call that back hole cancer. That's prostate cancer.
It's prostate cancer, right? Back hole cancer. Jesus. This could have easily been the meal of the week, this cancer society, but
it was in the running. It was in the running.
I mean, why can't we just call body parts what they are? Why are we saying stuff like front hole and back hole and not to offend people? I mean, if you're that offended by the word cervix, you've got the problem. It's a medical term. It is.
Cervical cancer is a serious problem. It is, women need to get that sucker maintenanced. To check for ovarian cancer, check for cervical cancer. That's all hugely important in the health of females assigned at birth. God, I hate talking about more terms I hate. Assigned female at birth. No, you weren't assigned female at birth. God made you a female.
I know, exactly. Yeah,
I don't know. I'm not normally offended by words or terms, but I think that was, I won't say offense. It's fairly insulting.
It's just insulting. It's comical that they have to apologize for using the word cervix and make up some other word for it. Reading this article, this is the first time I've ever heard that described as the front hole in my entire life. 49 years old, I've never heard front hole before.
I don't know, Ken. I don't know, brother.
Move on.
Yeah, I think if you were with a woman and you use that term, that'd be the last time you were with that woman.
Yeah, but I'm not going to use the word cervix either. I'm not going to use any word. But yeah, I got you. I'm not using either one of them.
All right, so the Falcons suck at cheating.
Yeah, what is this about? Like, this is the last thing we need to do as the Falcons is have draft picks taken away. But that's what the NFL did. So Falcons have to forfeit their 5th round draft pick in 2025 and pay the NFL a fine of $250,000. It looks like for talking with Kirk Cousins before they should have. This is a policy violation.
First of all, they should have had to pay Falcons fans for getting Kirk Cousins
and paying him so much.
Yeah, I mean, look, the guy's made of glass.
He is, and he's 35 or 36 too. He's an older guy.
Yeah, he's a super nice guy. I mean, super quality individual. I'm not saying anything about him personally.
Great role model for the franchise.
Yeah, I mean, but the deal they gave him, I mean, that was penalty enough.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, he signed a 4-year, $180 million contract with $100 million guaranteed. That's a big contract. $100 million.
I mean, not
guaranteed.
to Elon.
No, not Elon, but what is Kirk Cousins' age? He's 35 years old, so he's born in August, so he's about to turn 36 before the season starts, and they're paying a 36-year-old quarterback $100 million over the next 4 years. I'm with you. Yeah, they should have fined him for signing that contract, not tampering with him ahead of time.
First of all, nobody was offended by them tampering with him.
And was there a rush out there to pick up a 36-year-old Kirk Cousins? Pay him $100 million? I mean, I can't imagine other teams are beating down the door to get to this guy.
Is it still Dimitrov? That's the front end?
I don't know if he still is or not. I hope not.
But just, good Lord, man. God,
no, they've got Terry Fontenot now.
Oh, yeah. They just can't, well, I say can't win. They just continue to make poor decision after poor decision.
Yeah, I do. I mean, the good thing is they've got a great lineup, and I think they're saying if we can pay him $100 million and he gets us to the Super Bowl next year, that's chump change for getting us to the Super Bowl. So maybe that's how they're looking at it. Like, well, we've got to win right away.
I could throw fewer interceptions than their previous quarterback.
That's true.
I mean, he was a turnover machine.
Yep.
I mean, first down Falcons might as well be first down their opponent. I mean, because he's going to cough it up, throw it away, or something like that. And look, I like the guy. I mean, again, I don't have anything against him personally. I think he's a very nice guy and had some upside. But, you know, Falcons got rid of Matt Ryan, who was a very serviceable quarterback even at his age. They got rid of Julio Jones, who was more than serviceable at wide receiver. Overpaid Roddy White as he was going into the later part of his career.
Yep.
They just make bad decision after bad decision after bad decision. I don't know what Arthur Blank is doing over there, but it sure as hell is not winning championships.
I know, exactly.
All right, so this one hits me where I live. The troops to eat experimental meat to save the climate.
I know.
You know, most of the time, Army chow is not great to begin with.
Right.
No, I've had some decent meals in DFACs, not DFACs, but defense dining facilities. Particularly at JFK Special Warfare Center in school, because they had so many foreign officers in and stuff like that. So the food was pretty good. But I've also seen really bad chow on some of my Army pages that I'm on.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we experimenting on the troops?
Yeah, and the background on this, so this is a Pentagon-funded company is seeking proposal to feed America's soldiers lab-grown meat in a bid to reduce the CO2 footprint at Defense Department outposts. And the company is BioMade. They're a public-private company that's received more than $500 million in funding from the Defense Department. So this private company, BioMade, public-private, I guess, announced earlier this month it's seeking proposals to develop innovations in food production that will reduce the CO2 footprint of food production. Yeah.
So Elon could buy this company 92 times.
He should buy it and put it out of business. Yeah, but this company's getting taxpayer. I mean, they got $450 million in taxpayer cash. I would love to look up who the ownership of BioMade is to see how a company gets $450 million of taxpayer money to do this.
To lab grow meat, quote unquote meat,
yep.
and then serve our troops.
I know.
You know, the military is not the place for experimentation.
Yep, I agree.
I don't care if you're talking about lab-grown meat, you're talking about trans soldiers. It's not the place to experiment.
Yep.
You know, the military's job is to kill people and break things. Everything that we do within the military should be viewed, does it make our force more lethal?
Yeah, exactly.
And if it doesn't, scrap it. We need we need a strong military that's capable of striking fear into other nations so they don't mess with us.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting digging into this company to see how they just got $450 million taxpayer dollars. They're connected. Yeah, they're connected somehow to some people in D.C.
Oh, of course they are. Of course they are.
No doubt.
I mean, look, if I had a senator in my pocket, and I could get them to give me $450 million to go change all the air conditioners on military posts.
Yep.
I mean, well, yeah, I'll take it. So if you're listening out there, and you happen to have a senator in your pocket, let me know.
Yep.
Oh, man, it just here's the problem with the CO2 footprint. Let's talk about air conditioning. The on-post housing is a wreck. The on-post housing that our lower enlisted live in is awful. On top of that, they have 20-year-old air conditioners. And you want to talk about consuming CO2, have something that has a very low efficiency rating. They could have spent the $450 million on that, and it would improve troops' lifestyle. This is nothing but grabbing a headline just to go to the greenies, to the Bernie Sanders wing, and go, look what we're doing. We're making our troops eat crap.
Yep.
And look, I've had some meals in different dining facilities that I questioned whether it was real meat or not. But at least now my suspicions are confirmed.
Yeah, and I looked. They only made $370,000 in donations in 2023, but their agencies they lobbied to were Department of Agriculture and the Department of Defense. So they're basically spending money to take people out in the Department of Defense that then gets money routed back into their bank account. Some shady stuff.
Well, it's shady. I mean, it's slim shady.
I know.
I mean, I had someone ask me, and we were talking when my buddy was running for state house, and he goes, "I should get more involved." I said, "You won't be happier. The best thing you can do is because he owns a business. He's very successful in what he does. He's got 3 beautiful children, a beautiful wife." And I said, "Man, why would you want to mess up your life by getting more involved? Because right. the more we learn about this crap, the angrier I get. It does not improve my life."
Yep.
Like I should just shut everything off and get rid of all my political things and just be happy.
Right.
Good news. Bump stocks are back.
I know. How about this? This came out of nowhere. I saw this come across the ticker last week. And it's, the article said, this is how they phrase it. They said in a loss for the Biden administration, the Supreme Court ruled last Friday that a Trump-era federal ban on bump stocks, which are gun accessories that allow semi-automatic rifles to fire more quickly, is unlawful. So this, again, went through ideological lines. It was a 6-3 ruling. The 6 conservative judges all held up said the ban was unconstitutional. So you can have bump stocks again now.
I am no longer a felon.
I know, exactly.
So I posed this to a friend of mine who's a big gun guy. He says, "Are they going to reimburse everybody for having to destroy their bump stocks?"
Right.
You were supposed to cut it in half and throw it away. I talked to my wife earlier about it, and she goes, "What did they think was going to happen? They were going to evaporate?" Of course they're out there.
I know. Exactly.
What really ticks me off about this is Trump. He put a family-owned business in Slidefire is the name of the company, out of business. He put him out of business with a stroke of his pen. For somebody who's supposed to be pro-business and pro-American success, when you bought a bump stock, it came with a letter from the ATF saying this is legal.
Yep.
So the NFA defines machine guns very specifically. And it's more than one projectile per pull of the trigger. Well, the bump stock, which is a toy, it's enormously inaccurate. It's a toy. But what it does is it has a spring in it. Well, it doesn't have a spring. It allows the gun to slide back into the stock, and you push forward with your supporting hand. In my case, it's left hand. So basically, what you do is you put a forward grip on an AR-15 or on an AK or whatever you're using. I don't think 22s have enough recoil to even work, but you put forward pressure on it and hold your finger still. I can accomplish the same thing with my belt loop. What you do is take your belt loop, put it through the trigger guard, and push the gun forward. And it accomplishes the same thing, as it's a bump fire is what it's called. So this is one where, all the people flying the Trump flags and all that stuff is they like to forget about this.
Right.
That he crapped on an American company, crapped on the Second Amendment, all because some nutcase in Las Vegas.
Yep.
And
yeah, that's what I'd forgotten. That's when it came about. But Trump administration imposed this prohibition after the Las Vegas mass shooting, and boy, did that thing go away quickly. I don't think we ever got to the bottom of that. But anyway, that's another.
Well,
we could go down that rat hole forever.
The guy's nuts, or was nuts. It was nuts.
Yeah, it's just amazing. He got in all those guns, which was crazy to me. But anyway.
Yeah, but the guy was unhinged.
Mm-hmm.
What we don't have a gun problem in this country. We have a mental health crisis.
Yep.
And we can't get people the help that they need. It's not a gun problem. Look at the mass shootings that we've had, and these are by nutcases.
I know.
These are people that should have been locked away and treated. And since we got rid of most of the state hospitals in this country, there's no place to put these people. So what happens? Our jails become mental health facilities. We treat mental health very poorly in this country. And I blame One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. We all saw that movie and decided that mental health facilities were evil based on one person's experience with what essentially was Nurse Ratched. But what we failed to understand is some of these people need to be locked away from society, and they don't qualify for prison.
I know, exactly.
So, all right, this is a good time to remind you these are our opinions and not those of anyone not on the show or any respective company for which we may work, own, or otherwise associate ourselves with on a regular or irregular basis. Also, you can find other episodes and relevant stories over the GeorgiaVirtue.com. Kenny, you got the mule.
And look, this lady probably could be the mule almost every week, but it's MSNBC host Rachel Maddow. She went on this deal last week. I mean, on her program, she's on MSNBC. She's worried that former President Trump could throw her in jail, or even some of her camp, people in her camp, her liberal camp, for if he's victorious in November. Where are these people coming up with this scare tactic that Trump's going to start throwing people in jail? I mean, he didn't. Look, let's just go back to when he got elected the first time. Did he throw Hillary Clinton in jail? Did he go after Hillary Clinton? No. Why does anybody think Trump's going to be reelected and just start throwing people in jail because he doesn't like them? I like what President Biden's doing at the moment.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. They asked him if he'll go after Biden, or he's like, no, it's inappropriate. When he won election in 2016, he moved forward. He didn't go after Hillary.
No, he didn't.
He didn't go after anybody.
I don't remember him going after anybody.
Slide fire.
Yes,
but and to do a callback. But he didn't go after anybody. He moved forward with the business of the country.
Yep, he did.
And I thought his exit was classless. Trump is a weird dude, man. like, yes, it was classy not to go prosecute Hillary, even though I think that Clinton, there's probably a stack of charges that you could hit her with.
Yeah, probably her husband too.
Everything from the Clinton Foundation in Haiti to private servers and all that stuff, and he high-roaded it.
Yeah, but this continual talk about the end of democracy and how he's going to throw people in prison camps. I mean, I know why they do it, because they're wanting to scare people and to continue to vote for Biden. But there's no evidence that Trump's going to end democracy, right? Whatever the hell that means. And also throw people in jail.
He made a joke.
I know.
He made a joke about being a dictator on day one. He made a joke. And these liberal commentators have run with it. He made a joke. What he was basically saying is, I'm going to get my pen out and start doing executive orders and undoing what Biden's done and redoing what he had done to begin with. And it was a joke.
Yep.
And they take him out of context. And look, as you've heard, I'm not super Trump guy. You know, but you know, I'm going to call him like I see him. And he when he got in office, he moved forward with the business of the country, getting his wall built, which never happened, or at least not without gaping holes in it, not front holes. But he went on with what he promised the voters he would do, which is build a wall. And honestly, under Trump, illegal immigration was greatly reduced in comparison. We'll get to that story next. Greatly reduced under his leadership. Biden is actually spending more money to not build the wall than it would cost to build the damn wall.
I know.
And I don't understand. I guess I never will understand, people on PMSNBC, what they're thinking. Maddow is unhinged anyway.
I know, exactly.
And I don't know how she still has a job in media. Why she hasn't gone the way of Don Lemon.
Yeah, she's unhinged. And then the rest of the crew on there is unhinged. If you ever cut on Morning Joe and watch...
oh, good Lord. Scarborough?
I mean, good grief, is he unhinged. And what they did is they built President Trump up when he was running for office. They had him on the show all the time. And then they, when he got in office, they completely flipped on him. And that's all they talk about. I mean, he lives in their mind, which is just amazing.
Which is a scary place to be.
I know.
But yeah, it's he lives rent free in their minds.
Yep, I know, it's amazing.
And it's just that. Look, I hate this term, but it's accurate. Trump derangement syndrome.
Yep.
They hate him, and they have even less respect, if possible, for his voters.
Yep.
So the people that I pass when I'm driving around that have Trump flags outside their house or a Trump flag on their truck or whatever, they despise them. They have nothing but animosity for Trump's voters, and what they don't realize is those are salt of the earth Americans.
I know, exactly.
I mean, even when he lost, he still had 49%.
Yep.
I mean, why would you want to kill your viewership by 49%? Why would you want to alienate 49% of your possible audience? It just doesn't make any sense.
I know, exactly.
Even Fox News has liberal commentators and all that stuff. Jessica Tarloff, for one, who I really like. She usually makes pretty good points. I don't necessarily agree with her, but she makes pretty good points. I think she's on maternity leave now. But they have liberals in because they want to balance out. Now, on the 5, does it really balance out when you have 4 against 1? Probably not.
No, exactly.
But even then, if they allow the liberal on the panel to make a point, they don't jump on him or her.
Yep.
It's like, okay, let's ask the next person what they think. If I couldn't go on Madhouse's show. She'd jump all over me.
No doubt.
I mean, I'm not a chick, so she probably wouldn't jump all over me.
I don't watch it. It's embarrassing to watch, though. It's embarrassing for our country and to watch news and for them to jump down Fox News' throats all the time and say they're so right wing when she spews this garbage all the time about Trump throwing people in jail and throwing journalists in jail. Look, if he started throwing journalists in jail, I guarantee you Republicans and conservatives would come to her defense before her own party would come to her defense.
The last president to throw journalists in jail, Abraham Lincoln.
Yep.
During the Civil War. That goes to Szilagyi's point of Lincoln was a tyrant. He did. He jailed journalists. If they were printing something negative about the war, he threw them in jail. So and used the Constitution to do it by saying, "Oh, we're in a time of war, therefore I can suspend habeas corpus."
Yep.
All right. So 8 terrorists found in New York City that came across the southern border. That seems low.
Yeah, I think it is low. But these 8 terrorists, actually 8 men were from, I don't think I've even heard of this country, to Kazakhstan. They had potential ties to ISIS. This was a Central Asia country. They were arrested last weekend in New York, Philadelphia, and Los Angeles. The suspects had been on FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force radar and had come across the border in spring of 2023. I don't know if you saw the Fox News report last week where one of the commentators was down interviewing migrants coming across, not migrants, I'm falling for the scheme now, the illegal aliens coming across the border. Nobody was from Mexico. Like, they had interviewed 100 people coming across the border, and they were all from China, India, Brazil, African countries. Like, none of these people are actually Mexicans coming across the border now. It's people from all over the world that are coming to Mexico and then walking across the border.
Most immigration is not from Mexico. You know, we say Mexicans, this, that. We see a lot from Venezuela. You really don't see any from Costa Rica because most Costa Ricans are pretty happy. That's where the term pura vida comes in, which is pure life. But you see some from Guatemala and stuff like that. But you know, Venezuela took a page out of Castro's playbook and released prisoners to come to America.
Yep.
But yeah, you're here. It's like, where are you from? Pakistan. Well, how the hell did you get to Mexico?
Yeah, I have no clue how they're getting to Mexico. Look, I think this is, if inflation, this is what Trump needs to talk about if he wants to beat Biden. Inflation and the border. That's all, those 2 things. Inflation, or yeah, I could add 3, right? The economy, but the inflation goes right into the economy. So maybe it's the border and the economy. That's all he's got to focus on.
I hate to say it, but he started the inflation.
I know, but everybody's got short-term memory on that.
Yeah, I know, but those checks that he sent out, because I write a check for my taxes, so I got a check back, had his signature on the bottom of it.
Yep.
For COVID funds. So if Biden were cute enough, he could say, "Huh, you're the one who started it. You had your signature on the checks." But I don't think his acuity is there anymore. Maybe. You know, I've been seeing the Biden commercials come across that Bob De Niro is narrating.
I know, those are terrible.
Talk about unfriggin' hinged.
I know, that dude is really unhinged. But I mean, this is what's going to happen. We're going to have an event at some point because we're letting terrorists over, and it's just a matter of time before there's an event in the U.S. that happens and Americans are killed because these people came across the southern border. You can't keep letting all these people in without something occurring.
And you and I fly a good bit. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't fly as often as you do, but certainly more than the average American. Now, do I think that terrorists will ever try to take over an airplane again? No. Because there's nobody that would let that happen again.
Yep.
And I'm not talking about the locks on the cockpit door or anything like that. I'm talking about never again will Americans sit by with the assumption that this is just a hijacking.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it'll be Shanksville.
Yep. No, I know what you mean.
So I don't think that'll ever happen. But the fact that they're in New York tells me that they are planning something in a large population area. The largest population area in the United States.
Yeah, New York and Los Angeles, two of the big cities, Philadelphia too. I mean, or maybe you just don't know what they're planning. But
yeah, but can you destroy Philly any more than it already is?
Yeah, I don't think they can. I don't know why they were in Philly. And hell, certain parts of New York are just as bad too. But
well, I just hate it's baseball season. I hate the Phillies.
I know.
So yeah, Philadelphia, but no, I've been to Philadelphia. It's do the Liberty Bell and all that stuff. It's a fine city. I got friends from Philly and all that stuff, but it won't keep me from making fun of them. But what it should be alarming to people who live in these population centers, and honestly, I'll include Atlanta in that. Although we're much more sparsely, what do we have? 6 million people in Metro Atlanta, but the metro area is so big and there's so much green space. It would be difficult to do a mass event in Atlanta versus New York, which is, with the exception of Central Park, is wall to wall people.
Yep.
So if you're trying to go for the gusto. Although if LA keeps sending us all their people, they won't have the population there.
Right.
I don't know. I think 8's low. That's 8 they caught.
Oh yeah, there's tons of terrorists that snuck over the border. I mean, maybe they just get over here and say, "Hey, the U.S. is a great place to live, so we're no longer interested in terrorism." I mean, that could be part of it, but I think there's going to be something at a certain point. Not to try to scare anybody, but it's just there's too many people coming across the border, and not just people coming over to work.
The 9/11 terrorists were in a nudie bar the day before they crashed the airplanes.
Yep.
I guess they're forgiven the sins when they go to get their virgins and all that stuff and in paradise, whatever. But they consumed alcohol. They went to nudie bars and all that stuff. And honestly, they still stuck to, I hate to say, their values, but I guess that's an accurate term for it.
Yep.
So they stuck to it and did what they came to this country to do. I don't even know what we're going to do with them. I mean, you can't put them in Gitmo.
Yeah, I don't know what you do with them. If you send them back somewhere, they're just going to come across the border again,
or send somebody else. So, I'm a saltwater angler, so I spend a lot of time on boats. Your bilge pump cannot outpump a hole in the boat. And that's what's happening, is we have a hole in the southern border.
That's true.
And it's flooding in, and we can't get rid of them. The bilge pump analogy, we can't get rid of them as fast as they're coming in. Mm-hmm. So what happens in a boat? You sink. So that's what's happening. We can't get rid of them faster than they can come in.
Right.
So what the hell are we doing down there? We've got illegals coming across, and they're given a court date 3 years from the day. Years.
Yeah, it makes, and they're never going to come back and go back to their court date. I mean, it's just not going to happen.
Hell, would you?
No, I wouldn't. No chance. Yes, I don't know.
If I had the option to not go to court, guess what option I'm taking? Not go to court, especially if I know I'm guilty. That's why we require bail. So if someone doesn't show up at court, They have a private company that has a financial interest in dragging your butt back to court.
Yep.
And we don't have that with the immigration. It's just, pinky promise that you'll show up in 3 years. Hell, I don't know what I'm doing 3 days from now.
No, I don't either.
I mean, other than I think you're going to Nashville, but I don't know what I'm doing 3 days from now. I mean, what am I supposed to do with a court date that's 3 years away?
Nothing. I mean, yeah, because you're either going to go back home or you're going to find a job here and work off the grid, and yeah. So I'm with you.
All right, Ken, as we're winding down, what do you got for closing thought?
My daughter went last week to that, I think I mentioned it, American Legion Girls State, which was really cool down in Valdosta. She had a blast. I have a very political 19-year-old son, but I never saw this side of my daughter. But she just had a blast. They formed a little mock government. They passed bills, elected a governor and mayors, and she was elected school superintendent. It's a pretty cool. So if you've got a rising senior, it is a really neat thing to let your rising seniors go to. You just have to work with your American Legion to get invited to it. But no, they had a blast. It was a good time.
Yeah, both the kids seem like good kids.
Yeah, that drive down to Valdosta is not fun. Valdosta may be the hottest place on the earth besides, I think, Montgomery, Alabama. That may be even hotter.
Yeah, Orlando.
Yeah, Orlando's hot and humid. That's the problem with Orlando.
Well, there's no breeze. If you're on the coast of Florida, there's a breeze.
Yeah.
Like I grew up in Coral Springs, Florida, which is, only a few miles from the beach. So we at least got a breeze. Orlando's got nothing, buddy.
No, I know. Exactly.
Even Houston gets a little bit of a breeze off the Gulf.
Yep. No, they had a good time though.
Well, good. I think it's a really good program to get kids involved, so they understand the function of government, because they're not learning that in school.
Yeah, it was a great program. It is a really, really good program for learning how government works. Yep.
What they're learning in schools is front hole.
Oh, God.
That's what they're learning in school. So you have to take extra steps so your kids can get educated on government.
Yes.
It's when you and I went through school, because we're very close in age, we took government classes to understand how it functions, or dysfunctions for that matter. But we understood how. I mean, even Schoolhouse Rock with, I'm just a bill sitting on Capitol Hill. We were educating kids on the functions of government, and I just don't think we're doing it anymore.
Yep, I know.
So the only thing I have is, if you like what you heard, share us and like us on the socials. If you don't like what you heard, inflict us on your enemies. We'll take it. And I also want to give again a big thank you to State Senator Mike Dugan for being very gracious with his time as we record. It was this morning. He has a very nice office, by the way.
Oh, nice.
But he was very, very gracious with his time, and if anybody is interested, the interview will be up, and I'm sure he'll share it on his socials and all that stuff. So, for Eric Cumby, our awesome editor, for my partisan endeavor, Ken Poland, I'm Dave Roberts. Have a great week.
Catch me howling at the moon.